Hey, this is Brett D from Fire of Aries, and you are listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast.
One, two, three, four. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast.
Hey, how are you?
What's up?
How are you doing?
I'm all right, man. Thank you.
Where are you located?
Oh, what's happening with my camera? Here we go. That'll work. This work?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Nice.
Thanks for taking the time. Where are you located?
I'm in the Nashville, Tennessee area.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. What about you?
I'm in Richmond, Virginia, so not too far.
Not too far apart.
No,
Fine.
everything
How
good?
the levels okay on your end? You can hear me okay?
A little bit more would be great if you can do it.
Some more, of course. Yeah. Let me put that a little bit. All right. I can probably get closer. Is the mic close enough?
Yeah, I think you're good.
Okay. Cool. Is this a video podcast or is this audio only or
So it's mostly audio.
okay.
Most of our traffic is Apple and Spotify, but I do the
Nice.
video just for those who like the video portion of it. It goes up on YouTube.
Nice.
But by far, the majority of consumption is audio.
It's audio. Got it. Well, let's dig in, dude.
Cool. So let's talk about Fire of Aries.
Let's talk about this
Let's
band project, whatever this is.
whatever it is. So for those not familiar, can you give us?
There's a lot that's not familiar.
Yeah, well, let's educate them. Give me the 2-sentence elevator pitch.
Fire of
I'll give you mine.
Aries is simply this. It's a metal rock country band, artist, whatever, that is simply making music that's heavy, melodic, and has some sort of cinematic storyline behind it. Very visual storytelling through music. That's what this is. I mean, it's definitely still evolving. I'm still trying to, put different pieces together to see if it fits. But it's just got to be heavy. It's got to be melodic, and it's got to have some meaning behind it. That's what I do.
So let's start there. You said heavy. I'm looking at the poster behind you, and for those not watching, it's a Metallica poster.
Yeah.
I definitely find some thrashy elements to it as well. At least, I mean, I've heard "Kiss from a Rose," and it seems like you've done. I don't know. There's definitely some thrash elements to it as well, and that makes sense now looking at your poster.
Yeah. So we'll start with "Kiss from a Rose." Like that whole song has been years in the making for me. I'm talking about probably before I even played guitar. I just always liked that song. I always thought from even a small child, age that like this is a catchy song. I like it, right? And it just so happened to kind of coincide with the Batman Forever, released back in '95, and I was a kid back then, and most boys are Batman fans to an extent, most, not all. And that song just always has been with me ever since. And now that I've matured in age and as a musician, I'm like, okay, it's time for me to shoot my shot, right? And to see if I can even do this as an artist, not just a guitar player playing for somebody else or another band, but like just for myself. And so I went to Cam. He's the producer on this one. He did Memphis May Fire, Woe Is Me, some other heavier bands that influence my sound. And I'm like, Cam, here's my short list of singles. Obviously, we'll probably do some originals together, but here's a short list of singles. I mean, covers that I'd like to do. What do you want to do? Because like I'm really leaning heavy in on my producer on this one because I'm just like I'm as an artist, I'm like kind of new to the game.
Jeez.
And it's all good.
Sorry about that. That just scared the living crap out of me.
Oh no, it's okay. And I'm just like, we have to, if we're gonna do this. He gravitated toward Kiss from a Rose pretty quickly, and I'm like, and it's gotta be a departure from the original because, kind of the lead up to this, I'd done a whole lot of research on who's released a version of this song. And there's a lot out there actually, come to find out. And, I combed through almost all of them, the ones that really like mattered, like the heavier rock or something like that. And there were some good ones. Don't get me wrong. There were some good ones I came across. But what I found was that if it wasn't heavy, it was just a copy and paste of the original arrangement and you just put some heavy guitars on it. And I just found that to not be too original or just kind of boring, if you will. I mean, it's songs that these other bands have covered were fine. It just didn't do much for me, right? And I'm like, okay, Cam, if we're gonna do this, we have to do it differently, but still
Right.
have the same framework. And now that it's out, I believe that we accomplished that because some of that stuff that you just don't expect from that song, especially
Right.
some of the drum parts in there has kind of some really, like you said, thrashy, maybe borderline black metalish in there to an extent. And I was really blown away what we kind of came up with because I had one idea. When you have more than if you have a couple of minds and ears together, maybe a few, you can really turn something into something you didn't even expect,
Right.
Bruce. And that's what happened with this song. I was totally blown away with what Cam and the team that we developed around this song came up with. And dude, it's a departure, but still has a framework. We noticed that we didn't do the second verse over again.
Right.
Like at first I was like, man, we gotta do this. We still did it. And as we kind of talked back and forth about it, it's just like it didn't make sense, especially with short attention spans nowadays.
Oh my
It's like
God.
we can
Yes.
cut that out. That's not it's not needed. So we just went about it differently. We had a breakdown in there. There's no breakdown in the original or many or other covers. Like we put a breakdown in there, dude. And
Right.
it's not the heaviest, but dude, it's heavy. You
What's
know what
been the
I'm saying?
response so far?
You know what? The response so far has been positive, and I've gotten several comments like, for example, like this is some heavy shit, like I'm like, you're right, it is like, but when you put something out I have three other songs besides this one so far, but when this is like my pop off song, right? My launch song, in my opinion. And
Mhm.
from other interviews that I've done and other people I've talked to, I've gotten nothing but positive feedback. And I'm totally open to if it sucks, man, just tell me, like ultimately what's important for me is I make music that I want to listen to and hopefully others will like that same style and storyline, that type of thing, whatever that might be. But it's important to me just to put out, music that is that's catchy, obviously, but has some substance behind it. And now that I'm a little older in my life, I'm not in my 20s anymore. I feel like I got a little more life experience under my belt, and I'm not just writing songs that sound like gibberish,
Right.
if you will. There's a lot of heavy bands that that's just all they do is like, that's cool, like, great guitar playing, nice syncopation in drums, but where's the meat to these songs? And that's what I want to do with Fire of Aries.
Do you when you said you originally when we started talking, you said it's very theatrical. So are you writing like with a stage in mind or a production in mind or
I love these prompt questions. I love like how you do this. So yes, whenever I write songs, a couple things happen. I am writing for the live show and how I envision, the live show being for those people that decide to attend. Like music to me nowadays, it's not like it was 10, 15 years ago where you got to have, four or five guys that has to get together in a room and put ideas down. It's like not like that anymore. But for me, now that the whole music landscape of creation has changed, it's I come about it as like music is the gateway to get you in. And if you like the music, then welcome to Fire of Aries. This is what you're gonna get. You're gonna have a great live show that would be produced very cinematically, more of an experience, if you will, Bruce, is what I'm trying to get at.
right?
Um, but
So you can envision like a theatrical thing going with
I
it.
do, man. I do, and I hope that I get to the opportunity um, to put that vision out there because my background besides music is audio, visual, and IT, right? So technology. So I know kind of what's out there as far as technology with lights and sound and stuff like that, and I'm like, I want to harness all the stuff that I know about when it comes to audio visual and implement it into my show from programming lights to it's just an experience, Bruce. Like that's how I approach my songwriting is how do I want people to feel one, when they see whatever on their screen, music video, what they hear via song, but when they come and they get to interact with me and whatever guys and girls, decide to play in the band with
Right.
me, I want that to be something that's memorable, right? And I need to write music that one is memorable and the show is memorable.
Sure, I agree. So, with that being said, then, is there a message or a takeaway you want your fans to walk away from after listening to? I mean, not necessarily Kiss from a Rose, but your Fire of Aries releases or songs.
Yeah, I want people to expect this, that it's going to be music is going to be positive, and not in the cheesy sense, like, because the trend right now is positivity, positivity. I believe in that wholeheartedly, but it's got to come from a sincere spot, and it does for me. It really does. Also, within that, I want to be able to just write music about stories, whether they be true or somewhat fictional. Uh, I grew up in the country here. I'm a native to Tennessee. I would love to write some heavy country-esque songs. Like, I know I'm gonna stay in my lane, but I'm in Music City here, and I just want to be like, hey, I'm living on the outskirts over here. I'm on the outskirts of country music, just to let y'all know I'm here,
Right.
with some songs that I put out. And I think that's what I'm starting to see too, with like, Brantley Gilbert going on tour with Five Finger Death Punch. And then now they're about to go on tour with Nickelback. I'm like, you're seeing like this country, rock kind of fusion in a way when it comes to shows. It's been so heavy on pop country and pop rock that, well, it's hard rock metal's turn to do something in that vein. Not all the time, just like here and there, right? We don't want to overdo it like pop country is doing and pop rock. It's
Right.
just here and there, just like, oh, that's different. I want to go to that show just to hear that.
Like some outlaw metal.
Some outlaw metal. Like, I got this playlist on Apple Music. It's called Dark Country, right?
Oh, nice.
And that sums up, like, if I had a vibe about my music, it'll have that dark country outlawish, but with kind of I have to say, kind of, I don't want to say poppy because I know that's kind of in the metal realm. Like, pop's kind of like, we don't do pop over here, but I like my metal and my hard rock to, one, have a little bit of a dancey element to it, where I can vibe, I can have a good time, but also just like saturated guitars. Like,
Yes.
I'm a Nickelback fan, and I think they're a great band. They have a great guitar tone, and so do many other bands that I like Seven Dust, Metallica, In
Yes.
Flames is another influence. But I want to bring in an experience, whether that be from a guitar player, people like me, vocalist. Like, I want them to come and enjoy different aspects of the show, from you being a musician to just simply being a fan of music,
Right.
if you will.
Sweet. So I'm going to ask you something totally off of
Let's
my
go.
list, but you mentioned it. Why do you? And I'm a fan of Nickelback ahead of time.
Yeah.
So, but why do you think Nickelback sort of has that sort of memey quality to them on either social media or in general, when you can't argue with their numbers and their stats, right?
It's so easy. That's the easiest question to answer. The internet calls people to hate Nickelback, and it was from that Comedy Central a little bit that aired late night. I forgot the comedian's name. He just had mentioned that in a conversation or something, like, to the degree, can't hold me to this exactly verbatim, but basically he said that if he had to listen to a Nickelback song, he'd kill himself, right? And that was just a in passing joke on Comedy Central,
Right.
but that like took off, and that's about when the internet and social media were kind of like really revving up, and you could like, oh, I can say this without really any repercussions, or and the influence kind of came in there. So they've rode the wave. They love that.
I mean, their sales, shut all the haters up in a second. They're the top of the heap, pretty much.
Even from a sales point, absolutely. But if you, as a musician, if you really dig into Chad's, like, the music that he writes with Ryan and the rest of the boys, like, there's substance there.
Right.
Like, he writes songs that you can visually imagine in your head most of the time.
So I'm going to interrupt you.
Okay.
Photograph. Holy shit, man. That song, every time I listen to it, I'm
Yeah.
back in high school. I could picture every bit of it. Hanging out in the arcade, all of that.
That's like, that is what I believe music fans want. They need to have music that can invoke past memories. Because ultimately, what we're doing as adults, Bruce, is we're chasing our childhood.
Yeah.
Let's be real here. Like
Yeah.
I got knick-knack stuff all around here
Me too.
from like
Right.
Power Rangers and stuff. Like I'm 30-year-old, like
Right.
37 years old, dude. Like I still look for those little things that remind me of my childhood, and I want that to be a part. And music is a part of that
It's sort of
as
like a
well.
hard rock Springsteen almost, right? Because you can relate to everything Springsteen says too.
Exactly. Right. So like, and he's still going strong and he can put on
Yeah.
those 4-hour shows like it's nothing.
I'm
But
immediately down on the side of the river when I put that song on. It's absolutely insane.
it's insane. And I'm just kind of getting back to, what all this is, Fire of Aries. It's really a culmination of an experience, man. And I've been deep into the metal, you know, sector, if you will, or community for many years, pretty much since I would say late high school. And I just want to get deeper. I want more of a community around the music. It's more just about having something to do and people to hang out with. Am I right? That's what
Oh
we
yeah.
go to the shows to see our favorite bands, but
Yes,
at the
but you're
same
hanging out with
time,
your
there's like this subconscious like belonging,
yes.
and I desire that, and I want it not to be like not a selfish thing, but I want that to kind of be focused around the music that I make, is that community and people come to the
Yeah.
show or see me out, and we have that connection through the music, and that's it. Simple.
Yeah, you said so much there though. So the metal community, the hard rock, the heavier music community, whatever you want to call it, is
Yeah,
definitely a community and a family, and it's unlike anything else I think you'll find in pop
yeah, dude,
music or country
it's
music.
different.
I don't think you get that, but in the metal
No, I don't.
world, you do. You bond over a riff or something, and it's like, holy shit, you're like, I've known you forever.
100%, man. Like it's different. Even like, growing up in Tennessee and being a country boy and all that stuff, even going to like country concerts, it's just different when you go to a hard rock metal. It's like it's more like I got your back type of
Right.
community. And I
And it
don't even
doesn't
know you,
matter.
bro.
No, and everybody overlooks. It doesn't matter what your race, sex,
Exactly.
religion, preference, whatever. It doesn't matter, binary, not whatever any of that stuff is. It makes no
Yeah.
difference at all. We bond over a riff, and you're right. You got your back.
Yeah. I just, it's just different. I know when I was coming up through, high school and college, like I felt like rock and metal was like on a high. I
Yes.
mean, like I always anticipating the next Mudvayne record or the next Bullet for My Valentine,
Hmm.
song to come out, whatever that might be. And, and since I would say 2000, let's say 8 or 9, it's kind of dipped. Like the attention and it's not really been there. And I think it's starting to that wave is starting to
Yeah.
rise again. I think COVID's helped in a way. Like every musician on the planet almost got to take a break for 2 years. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And got to reassess like, dang, now I got to fully put on the brakes and reassess like, what is this music thing? Yeah, I miss going and doing my shows and things like that, but we really got to analyze how we can do music different. Like everybody did a live stream of a show, most did that had the capabilities. That was great. That opened up a whole nother like avenue to connect with fans
Right.
when you can't, right? Like when did you catch a live stream of a band? No, you went to the show, but when you can't, what
Right.
do we do? And we adapted as the music, the
Mhm.
metal community. We made it happen. We still stayed connected to our fans, or at least we tried. And that's what's important to me. It's just that community and connection.
Right. And I'm going to go back one more time to what you said again.
So,
You got into metal or heavier stuff in your teens. What was the gateway record or band?
you want me to tell you? I can tell you exactly
Because
what
I
it
can
is.
too. Go ahead.
So I can tell you exactly the time where it really set in. But prior to that, it was high school, probably junior-ish year. I discovered the band Creed, right? And my biggest guitar influence at the time was Mark Tremonti. He still is. He's my number two. Andy James has now surpassed him as my, guitar idol, if you will, because Andy's just great. Anyway, where it really defined for me was, I hope I got the right movie, but if you remember Freddy versus Jason, that movie that came out.
Oh, yeah.
No, hang on. It was twofold. It was Freddy versus Jason and Resident Evil Apocalypse.
Okay. I don't think I've ever seen that, but
Which one?
I don't think I've ever seen anything Resident Evil.
Oh, dude, bro. Okay.
Am I missing something?
Okay. So what happened at the end of Resident Evil Apocalypse? It was the credits, right? The movie's done.
Mhm.
And then Kill Switch Engage came on with
Oh,
Rose of Sharon, dude.
that's a great, great song.
And I'm like, what is this? Like, it was scary for me. At the time. Like I love the games. The Resident Evil was based off a video game, right?
Right?
And they did a movie on it. And at the end, like they just opened up with, that scream from Howard. I'm like, this has got energy to it. And
Yes.
then I think the other culminating part might have been like the same year as when Freddy versus Jason came out. And at the end of that one, and those credits, it was a Slipknot song. Trying to
Oh,
remember which one it was, but it was kind of like those two bands kind of like hit me all at once in like the same year or very close together. I'm just like,
right,
that's what I want to feel. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to gradually and slowly do this and maybe ramp up faster over time. But
right.
that was my gateway was those soundtracks
It's funny
from the
because,
movies.
and it's funny everybody remembers that because, like, I remember being in high school, similar to you, but probably 20 years earlier or whatever.
Potentially.
Corner store by the high school sold records, and I walked in there one day and saw Diary of a Madman on the shelf and was like,
There you
wow,
go.
I never heard of Ozzy before, but I'm gonna give it a shot. And then the first note, those drums
Yeah.
coming in from over the mountain, that's it. It said set me on a course that I never would have imagined.
And look at you now. We're here. We are talking on Zoom. We're doing an
Right.
interview. Like, see how music's connected us, dude. Like, we don't know each
Crazy.
other from
Right.
Adam, and that's definitely bringing us together. That's what it's about, dude. It's just a belonging, and if the music's good, great. But that's what us as humans always want is
Yeah.
that some type of connection.
So what's the plan for taking Fire of Aries on the road, or is there?
There is a very loose plan right now. What my main focus right now is building a few more songs or adding some more songs to the catalog. Right
Mhm.
now, I have 4 out. Yeah, 4. So, Kiss from Rose is the 4th one. I think I got 2 in the hopper right now. No, 3 more that'll should be out. So I'm going to try. I'm doing the approach of singles, right?
Mhm.
Um, I just think that's just better workflow for me. So, I'll put out probably 3 to 4 more songs this year and see how they do. And then 2024 comes around and we'll see, what I can jump on with hopefully some of my favorite artists that I went to shows to see. I really would love to open up for an Alter Bridge, or I just went and saw them last week,
Oh, really?
or, a Seven to Sun. Like, to me, that's, when artists like, well, they get asked a question, when do you think that you made it? And for me, it'll be like, well, once I get to open up for, one of my favorite bands, if not all of them, that's what
Right.
I would love to do. And I would be satisfied for, here on out if I got to do something like
It's
that. But
hard to define what made it means, maybe nowadays, right? Because there's hardly any arena shows and multi-platinum records and any of that stuff.
yeah, I mean, if we want to get into like nitty gritty of making it, it's like I saw a recent interview with Nickelback. It's like they don't have to make any more music, and they can they don't worry about money anymore, right?
Right.
That's making it to a degree. That's a milestone, right? Like I think
Right.
every artist has different milestones, and right now that's mine. If I just got to open up for a few of my favorite bands, I would feel accomplished, right? Right now, I'm
Right.
just making music that I hope sticks somewhere and has an impact somewhere.
Means
But
something to somebody.
yeah, and ultimately that's what it's about. If the music, if I spend all this money making these songs and it, only impacts one person, well, maybe that's a very expensive impact, but at least it did something hopefully positive in the
Right.
world, right?
And you have no idea what it could have done to that person.
And that's the beauty in it,
Could have
not
pulled them from
knowing.
the grips, right?
Yeah. And I kind of long for that, if we're getting like the psychology of music. Like I look forward to, I hope this happens where, I put out a song that has some sort of meaning or some imagery, and, a person comes in like, that song really helped me through this time, or, really made me think about things differently, or you really painted a picture on like this possible reality that I didn't know existed. Like it's more of a conversation starters.
Right.
And hopefully from there, blossoms into more like friendship, relationship type of things where, I can continue to make more music and have more experiences for
Right.
man. That's really what it is. It's just like, what experience can I give the listeners that would make them want to come hang out with me and see the shows.
Sweet. That's going to bring me to the end of my questions. I hope that wasn't too bad. I know we were all over the place, but
If you have more questions, I'll keep going. I like chatting.
so I have found that the episodes, if they're anything over 30,
Oh yeah,
people do not. We were talking about attention spans earlier with singles and that sort of stuff, and
Yep.
the numbers drop like half if I don't keep it below 30. So I even have to edit sometimes because
that's smart. You got to keep going with what
people like my son's age, they don't want anything to do with, I want 3 minutes and then maybe 30 seconds of that 3 minutes and I'm moving on to something else.
That's right. But me and you, we like the nuts and bolts of things.
I mean, we can talk about this all day long, right? We talk about gear and records and the whole deal.
Yeah, that might be something for like a in-person type of deal.
Absolutely.
Let's say something to look forward to. Yeah, we can get on here and use social media and all the tools we have to put out our content or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's just a different experience when you're in person. You can talk about stuff that maybe half the population doesn't care about, like gear and guitar strings and pickups and drum heads and see whatever. I can go on. But
anyway, thank you, my friend. I appreciate it.
You got it, man.
It was a pleasure talking to you. Be well.
Here.
Talk to you soon.
Man.
All right. Cheers.
Ever wonder what a punch from Elton John feels like?
Or how you'd cope with having turned down the chance to be in Nirvana?
Or what signal Keith Richards gives when he wants you to get the hell out of his hotel room?
Fans of Too Much Effing Perspective don't have to wonder, because they've heard these exact stories and a jillion others on our podcast. I'm Alex Hoffman, former tour manager for Radiohead.
And I'm musician and comedy writer Alan Keller. On the TMEP show, we get guests like Nancy Wilson from Heart, Jeremiah Freites from the Lumineers, and Modern Family's Julie Bowen to tell us things they may have only shared with their therapist, clergy, or a TMZ stringer.
So join us on Too Much Effing Perspective. That's EFFING Perspective. The only podcast you crank up to 11.